up, everyone? We're back for another episode of the Summit, Talent Roadmap Podcast. We've got a really special guest today, good friend of mine, Nick. Nick and I met actually through LinkedIn content. We have never met in person because I will likely never ever travel to Ohio, and vice versa. He probably won't come to California. But today we're going to discuss something super important, and that's recruiting, hiring, candidate applications, candidate process. So Nick has led a career in TA for over 8 years now, high growth, go-to-market engineering product design. Similar to my pathway, however, I have never had the opportunity to hire at that level and that velocity. So Nick's going to have some insight around his processes, what he looks for in candidates and how he pushes folks forward to meet, very specific time to hire deadlines. He's also managed, multiple teams and has moved up to the head of TA in specific roles, and now he has landed a new role at is it Roshal Health?
Yeah, Roshal Imaging, Roshal Health. Yeah, as
Gotcha.
Director of Recruiting Strategy.
Nice director title. I've always wanted that. You can hold on to it. Let me know how it feels.
Well, we can hop back on a call in a few months, let you know how it's going.
I got you. So perfect segue. Nick, if you wanted to give a little bit of background on yourself, I know you're also an Army veteran. So take it away.
Yeah, so similar background as you. So I was military. I was Air Force and the Army. So I did two branches, started off active, then went to the reserves, then Guard. Almost 15 total years of service before I got out. Med boarded once, survived it. Second med board was coming to the pipeline. I just got out. I got banged up a little bit. It's actually how I ended up in recruiting. I don't know how your story goes, but most kids aren't playing recruiter in their backyard when they're 10 years old. They're playing Army. They're playing something cool. So I, not saying recruiting isn't a cool career fit. I love it, but just kind of fell into it through some introductions, and here I am. 8 years later in TA. Started off as an IC at an agency. Moved into a management position probably nearing the end of one of my second startups. Moved into just a management position at my startup before my last one. And then I was with Nomad Health through their layoffs until their last layoff as a head of technical talent acquisition, then head of all of talent acquisition. And then I just transitioned into Roshal Health, Roshal Imaging, as their director of recruiting strategy. So building a team out over there and some processes now.
Nice, man. Congrats.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, I think following you on LinkedIn, I see some of your posts and stories, and there's a lot of humor behind it, a lot of comical transactions and interactions with you as an applicant, not knowing you had all these other offers and opportunities behind the scenes. You were just posting stuff that essentially went viral, so to speak, right? Not to say it was a million views, but it was fun to read. And then knowing that you landed a role recently, I was like, how the heck did this all happen? So I guess two things here. You being on the candidate side now, how did that work out for you? How did you, land these interviews? And then we'll talk about how, you approach recruiting from, a talent side, and maybe give us some insight to job seekers on how to navigate that. So share your story about the recent interactions and how that all went.
Yeah, so I got laid off October 3rd, and I started my new job on December 25th. They started me Christmas Day. Quick shout out to Rochelle. Honestly, that's a people first company. Most companies, they won't start until after the new year. I made it like I said, I was pretty upfront about it. Like, this is important to me to start as soon as possible because I got like 30 kids and we need healthcare. And I was paying like $2,300 a month for health insurance.
Wow.
And I was like, hey, listen, like, it'd be super dope if you guys could hire me as soon as possible. So they started me on Christmas Day, and I actually had that first week off too. So my first week was a paid week. So solid company, like super people friendly. I actually just finished my first week, started my second official week there. So quick shout out to them in case they're watching. Love you guys. But I got laid off October 3rd. Spent like a week or two just kind of fishing. Too much fishing, doing doing all the fishing I didn't get to do the past couple of years. So I really
Mm.
burned myself out. I think I threw my shoulder out casting so much. After about week two, I decided to really hit the ground running. I started applying to everything, right? If it had a
Mm.
recruiter title, a management director, whatever I thought was appropriate, I was applying.
Mm.
Met with a lot of rejection. And I think where these posts came from, it was like I don't know, the self-deprecation, right? I got to laugh at
Mm.
myself and beat myself up, or I'm going to smash my
Yeah.
head through a wall.
Mm.
So I started finding the humor in my rejections. I started responding to generic rejection emails. I
Mm.
started
Love
trying
it.
to put a little spin on it, and some clever outreaches, of course, that were never responded to. But the
Mm.
post is what the outreaches were for, anyways. So the one I think
Right,
you're
right.
referencing, I think there were two. I think they got some decent views, but one was to Sheets specifically.
Mm.
There was a current legal battle in the city I live next to, and I reached out to the recruiting team and told them I'd raise hell at a city council meeting. So, in return for a job, never got a
Right.
job. They actually called me,
Yeah.
interviewed me. I wasn't a fit anyway. The comp was off, the location was off.
Mm.
But they did promise to send me a hat so I can stand in front of City Hall and hold up my sign. So, still waiting on
Nice.
that hat, Sheets, if you're listening. I need that hat. The second one I think was to Crocs because I collect Crocs. I got a rejection
Yeah.
email. I've got a really cool pair of KFC Crocs up here, and I sent a picture of those like in reply to my rejection, and it just said I urge you to reconsider.
I like that.
That's it, right? With a post along with it. But those two posts got me interviews. They got me phone calls.
Wow.
I was already in the process of accepting an offer at work. I was at the very tail end of an offer at that time, but I got it. Sheets specifically reached out to me and interviewed
Mm.
me because they
Mm.
responded. They were interacting with the post. I know you saw that. You're interacting as
Right,
well,
right.
but if you find fun brands like that, you get them to interact. You're gonna get looked at by. I had agencies calling me like, "Hey, that was ballsy, dude. You got a sack on you. Let's get you on these phones, right?"
Yeah.
Um, so I was getting reach outs, I was getting requests. I turned down a couple interviews near the end. I
Mm.
had people like, "Hey, I just referred you to my company. I've been here, 5 years. That was awesome. Come work over here. We need that kind of like tenacity."
Mm.
Um, but yeah, so it did its job a little bit too late. I wish I would have done a little bit sooner into this journey, but honestly, I was just trying to laugh at myself, right, and give other people some hope that it's not just you getting rejected. It's all of us. Just have
Yeah.
some fun with it.
Dude, that's
Yeah,
that's genius, man. Like I think, you know, being connected with you on LinkedIn, the posts you put out, the two of 10 in the
yeah,
last year, those last two, man, it made my day. And to your point, like as I'm helping job seekers, navigate their
yeah,
journeys and stuff, I'm like, man, should I implement this into some sort of strategy? Because you mentioned, hey, Henry, are you going to make this a playbook? I don't know how. I don't know how to turn this humor into a playbook. But I think what it, I guess, what it attributes, what it relates to is essentially, not taking it so seriously at times, just having
yeah,
fun with yourself, and just letting it be what it is, right? And
yeah.
you're not going to win every single battle. You're not going to, get 99 out of 99 applications with an interview,
Hmm.
but at least you were able to take a break, um, and engage with new folks in the platform. At the time I was commenting on one of those two posts, it was like an insane amount of likes, laughs, and loves. And then there
Hmm.
was like maybe 100, 200 plus comments. So you made a ton of new connections, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I did. I
Yeah.
was getting. I think I got maybe 20 or 30 connections off of that. So I think what helped me, I had a big network as is, right?
Hmm.
I'm a collector. You see the Crocs up there. I collect people too, right?
Yeah,
Someone
yeah.
interesting on LinkedIn, I swoop them up. If they
Yeah,
got
yeah.
just the follow button, I'll go in and connect and even follow them.
Hmm.
I'm not just following, but connected with like Jerome Bettis, Tim Tebow, and a bunch of. If I see a
Yeah,
famous
yeah.
person just getting on LinkedIn before they put their blockers on,
Uh-huh. Yep.
I'm connected with like two or three people from The Bachelor and Bachelorette on there.
Dude,
If
that's
you
awesome.
haven't noticed, there at least once a season from the Bachelor or Bachelorette, there's a recruiter on there or
No
two.
way.
Oh yeah. A lot
Okay,
of them. So add that to your Google list. But
that's tight,
I'm
man.
connected with a few on there. Um, but anyway, yeah. So I guess behind the scenes, what they weren't seeing was all the failure too, right?
Hmm.
And dude, you can fail in fun ways, and that's just kind of what I was trying to highlight, right?
Yeah.
It's not all rainbows and butterflies. I got an offer fast considering the market we were in.
Hmm.
Um, I got lucky, is what that
Yeah.
was. And I can go into
Gotcha.
that too when you're ready.
Yeah, I was gonna ask as a
Yeah.
follow-up, how did that happen? Was it an application referral? Where you reached out to? What was the start process for that?
Yeah, so it's a startup, right? They've been around for a while, but they just got purchased by private equity. Before they got purchased by private equity, they were like a mom and pop shop. So
Mm.
they were not technically a startup in the age of the company, but they were just behind operating how they were operating. They're a super successful company as I guess they're a startup, but they sold to private equity. Private equity said, "Hey, time for hyper growth." Then that's when the actual startup mindset kicked in, not just a
Right.
startup as, "Hey, we're a young, growing company." Um, because of that, they usually don't have teams of people like me or you that do the
Hmm.
hiring. They kind of put it on everyone else to do. And because of that, there was a position, the salary was listed and everything, and it wasn't the title or the salary I was after. Um, but I did some research and I saw that the company was small. I didn't know about the private equity thing, and the job poster was from the C-suite.
Mm.
So I applied, hoping to get a conversation with someone from
Right.
the C-suite, and I did. Um, had a conversation. I was very transparent. I was like, "Hey, the comp's off, the title's off. This company's awesome. I would love to work here if we can make it work." And I had, well, I think one, two, three, four, five different interviews
Hmm.
with four people internally from the company. I met with the CEO personally. I met with the CSO, is who the poster was. I met with a VP and a director. And then the fifth person was a member of the board
Mm.
I had spoke to. So we went all the way to the
Nice.
very end. Yeah. And they came back and they gave me the title and comp I wanted.
Just like
And
that.
yeah, well,
Okay.
not just
I know
like
there's more
that.
details to that, but
Yeah, on my side, that's what it seemed like. But you being in this seat, that's not how it went for them. It was,
yeah,
hey, here's what I want. Let's do it. There's probably 30 emails, 20 phone calls on their end trying to figure it out.
yeah. A couple Slack
So,
meetings,
yeah, Slack
work teams.
meetings, yeah, do whatever they use, right? There was probably meetings on meetings to
Yeah.
make this happen. They made it happen. I got in, day one, hey, let's hire you a team. So I'm in the process of building a team now.
Hmm.
Um, already trying to make some impacts and some changes here. It's a solid team. They've been great,
Nice.
but all it goes to say is, it's buyer beware. What's listed might not be, what's out there,
Hmm.
and always, take it with a grain of salt. If you see, especially at a super small startup, when not someone not in TA is doing the recruiting,
Yeah.
they might not know what they need or what they're looking for until they get in there and you kind of highlight your background, you highlight your experience, what you bring to the table,
Hmm.
and that could create a new opening, right? That wasn't out there before.
That's crazy.
Now, I've done it before as a recruiter too, right? It's,
Hmm.
we hire people, and especially at startups, right? If Series A, Series B, even Series C sometimes,
All
I'll
right.
be interviewing a really good engineer we don't have an opening for, but dude, they're great talent. You take it to
Hmm.
your CTO and no, we can pull the budget from somewhere to make this happen. And
Yeah.
they usually do. They pull the budget and they make a hire off of someone that we didn't have headcount for before. Not every
Right.
company's like that. This economy is a little bit crazy right now. There's VCs aren't fast and funny with money like they used to be, but it still
Hmm.
happens. It happened to me. And I
Hmm.
started on Christmas Day too. So
Yeah, that's another anomaly for sure. Good anniversary
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
Yeah, gift
I'll
every
never
year.
forget it. Yeah.
Well, let me just ask you, I guess, a much more granular question around the
Yeah.
process itself. You applied. How long did it take them to get back to you? What was the first interview like? Was it 30 minutes, 45, phone call, Zoom?
I applied on LinkedIn. So I applied
Hmm.
through LinkedIn, and then I got one of those emails because I have premium.
Hmm.
If you're a veteran, premium free for a year. Shout out
Yep.
LinkedIn. Um, so I got my premium, and I saw that they viewed my profile, the CSO. So I went in there and I creeped on his profile and I connected with him.
Nice.
Took it a step further. Hit that connect button, not the follow button, not just, hey, I was here. Nick was here.
Hmm.
It's, hey, I'm going to connect with you. You've got to look me in my
Yeah.
eyes now. I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
outside your window looking in. So he emailed me directly and was like, hey, let's set up time to chat. First call, I think, was scheduled for 30 minutes. I think we ended up going almost an hour. We just hit it
Mm.
off.
Right. Those are always the good
Um,
ones.
yep. We had a lot to say. I had a lot to say. I went into detail about, I did my homework, right? I looked up the company. I went to the website. I clicked on every single button on the website as if I were a candidate.
Hmm.
So if I were a candidate going to apply, I clicked every single button to see how many clicks it would take me to get to an apply or
Hmm.
onto their contact list. I talked about that experience, not with him. I think I talked about that experience with one of the VPs there.
Right.
Um, yeah, but no, it's just did my research. I looked it up. I didn't give myself a chance to fail, especially a company
Hmm.
like that. I mean, how people friendly they were, and the C-suite directly reaching out to you.
Hmm.
A lot of support
Yeah.
there. So I didn't want to let this one go.
No, that's really cool, man. I'm glad you
Hmm.
mentioned like the user experience. A lot of folks actually, I guess, undervalue where the career page sits, right? If you're looking
Mm-hmm.
for talent, it needs to be upfront. Hiring is the number one, I shouldn't say expense, but operational cost for any company, right?
Yeah.
And essentially, 80% of the revenue or the operational cost goes into hiring.
Yep.
So if you want a flywheel, it's got to be one or two clicks, right? One to the careers page, two to the job you want. And you noticing that probably just opened up a box of ideas for them to, have you lead their maybe the reprocessing of the
Mm-hmm.
funnel, right? And that's a huge thing
Yeah.
for them. It's a cost saving. And if I guess if you're another profession listening to this conversation here, that goes for, exploring a company's product, how it works,
Yeah.
how well it works, whether it's project management tools or data analysis tools, so on and so forth. It's got to work well
Yeah.
for it to make it more user friendly and able to kind of execute across the entire company. So that was really cool that you did that.
So I'm even bolder. My last job I got at
Hmm.
Nomad, right? Their
Hmm.
head of technical and their head of talent. I thought I shot myself in the foot in this interview because my final interview was with the
Hmm.
VP of engineering and the VP of product. So
Hmm.
it was a 2-for-1 hour, 15 hour, 20 minute.
Same room.
They yeah, same
Nice. Okay.
Zoom. Yeah. So they
Hmm.
just drilled me the whole time, right?
Hmm.
And I guess same thing. I wanted to know the product front and back before I went into an interview, especially with a VP of engineering and product,
Right.
especially with product, right? Because I mean
Hmm.
they're visionaries, right? So what
Hmm.
I did, I downloaded the app, I clicked every button twice on the website,
Hmm.
and I found like 3 bugs, and I
Nice.
wrote them down. And they were asking me their questions about, have you downloaded, you checked out the app yet? And I was like, actually, I was like, I've got. If you open your apps up, I walked them through the bug. Because if you open your app up real
Oh
quick and
shit,
you
it's
scroll,
froze.
down, you click on this button, you click on
No.
it, it brings you to an error page.
Wait. Nick, back up. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, my bad.
The, um, the platform just froze, man. I think it's my
Oh,
bandwidth.
gotcha,
Let me
gotcha.
close some things down. But you stopped that. Actually, just
Yeah.
swiping through your your notes.
So I walked them through the bug where I found it and how I found it. So I was like, hey, if you scroll down to the bottom and you click this button right here, at least on my app, iOS, whatever version I had at the time, you click on it, it brings you to a dead end. It's an error. And then they
404
both
or
looked
something.
at me. Yeah, they both looked at me like, really? So they pulled out their phones they stopped talking and they scrolled and they clicked it and they both started writing it down. It's like, okay. And I
Who
was like,
do I
okay.
talk to? Uh,
So I was like, all right, now if you click out of that, you reopen the app, you go to this, you click on this, it's a continuous loop. There's no way to log in. And it says click here to log in. It always redirects you back to the home page. There's no way to log in from this page specifically. And they wrote that down. Then I went on to the mobile website, not the app, went to the website. It's like same thing. You scroll, you click to log in, it's a loop back to the home screen, whatever the bug was. And
mm-hmm.
they wrote it down and I didn't hear back for a few days. I thought maybe that was too bold of me.
Right.
But I got a job offer. I don't know if it was because of that. They might have said no. I don't want that guy on the team, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I rolled the dice on that one big time. You know, usually if it's recruiting tools, and it was
Mm-hmm.
the last company I was at, it was a recruiting platform,
Mm-hmm.
right, for healthcare professionals. So I was like, all right, well, let's see. And I love the product, love the platform of the last company, and I wanted to let them know that I loved it, and I wasn't just surface level, that I was actually investing my
Right.
time into the research so much that I went to go debug your app before I even started working there, you know.
Yeah.
But no, they're go
No,
ahead.
sorry, I was gonna say that's something you don't see too often, right? Especially from someone who's not an engineer or not a product manager or a designer. And
Hmm.
that goes with any other profession, right? If you can I guess, learn cross-functionally about the rest of the
Hmm.
organization, it's gonna give you a leg up in the conversations because you want to be meeting with folks once you get into your job, your profession. You're not just gonna do recruiting, you're not just gonna do engineering or product design. You're gonna meet with other folks and having
Yeah.
the knowledge to have those conversations is going to make you more important to the organization, whether or not whatever the economy may say, moving
Yeah.
forward. It's just another tool to have in your back pocket when you're having conversations and interviews and so on
Yeah.
and so forth.
And I think that's a startup mentality too, right?
Yeah.
Is it's all hands on deck, right? You don't get hired for a job. You get hired as part of the product itself, right?
Hmm.
You're part of that offering, whether you like it or not. You're not just sitting in payroll. You're not just engineer working on this piece of the puzzle. You're not just a recruiter, not just whatever. It's a small
Hmm.
company. It's lean, so some things get overlooked. Like if you look at a large company like Microsoft, they probably have a team
Right.
of 20 people that work on one button, right?
Yeah.
One click, right? It's a whole department. Is we're in
Right.
charge of this click. At a startup, it's hey, we're all in charge of this click, you know.
Yeah.
If
All 12 of
everyone,
us.
yeah, all 12 of us, this whole department is in charge of this click, 37 of these clicks, 12 of these pages. Oh, and we have to
And
submit our time
payroll.
manually. Yeah, and payroll. Just come again. And
Generate. Yeah.
yeah, that's also like the military mentality too. That's why I think veterans do so well as startups because it's organized
Yeah.
chaos, right? It's in the
Yeah.
military. You have a job, but you also have to know the next guy up's job. You have to know the guy
Mm.
next to you job. You have to know every job that surrounds you to an extent in
Yeah.
case shit happens.
And
I
writing
yeah.
documentation too, although not many folks are really great at that. I mean, officers and senior non-commissioned officers
Hmm.
were. But yeah, the counseling, the monthly counselings, the quarterly reviews, that all translates to,
Hmm.
the private sector, specifically in tech, when
Yeah.
there's a lot of processes and programs. So yeah, thanks for that shout out, man. I'm glad you mentioned
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Especially
One,
startups too, not just tech specifically, because when you
oh
go to
yeah.
there is no documentation.
Hmm.
Like if they're just like, here's what we want to do, what would you do, and then write it down just in
Right.
case you die or we
Exactly.
fire you, we know what to do. And I'm like, perfect.
Right. We keep all your documentation. Yeah.
Oh,
Dude,
absolutely.
so
And it's yeah.
sorry. I've been
Okay.
having this question on my mind before I forget. I wanted to maybe ask you, let's say at your previous companies,
Yeah.
when applications come in, how do you
Hmm.
filter through? And this is a loaded question around the AI bots and all that stuff with the ATSs. How do you filter applications? How do you decide on which candidate moves forward to your conversation or team's conversation?
Hmm.
And then from there, how do they move forward to the hiring manager and final interview?
Yeah.
What are the things that you look for on paper, one, and two, in the conversation you have with these folks?
Yeah. So I usually close my eyes and scroll, and whatever whatever I
Spin the
click
wheel.
on wins. No,
Yeah, right.
so yeah, I mean you gotta reverse engineer it, right? You gotta take it
Mm,
from a need all the way to what's in front of you on your desk.
mm-hmm.
That starts with the relationship with your hiring manager, right?
Yep.
Is go knowing exactly what they need, not just on paper, but in a warm, living body. What that
Mm-hmm.
means, where they come from. Um, I would say there's no such thing as 100% fit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unless if you're at one of those companies, you're probably going to stay there your whole career.
Right, right.
But it's like a 70-80% match. It's your nice to haves and your must haves. When you first take that intake meeting with the manager, everything is a must have, right? Everything from skill A to skill Z. I absolutely need this, or they can't work here. And it's up
Mm-hmm.
to the recruiter, like the talent partner, to kind of work that back a little bit.
Yeah.
That might work in healthcare. You need to have certain license, certain certifications, certain experience to qualify because
Yeah.
their lives are in danger, right?
Right.
But
Compliance.
yeah, they usually do a soft skill check for those kind of places. But if the hiring manager says, well, they need this certification, they need the certification, they need the experience, because I can find girls with 20 years experience, no certification.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll make that a soft requirement, right? And you work down that list, then your 10 must-haves actually end up being 5 must-haves, which
Mm-hmm.
widens your pool so much, right? When you're building that search string or when you're going through resumes, people who applied. And then if I can find someone who hits all of the must-haves, and then they might get one or two of the nice-to-haves, I'll have a conversation with them, right? I'll set them up for a screening and I'll dig in on that experience, on the nice to haves, the must haves. I'll qualify that experience.
Nice.
Yeah, if it's a really limited pool, hard to find job, I have someone who doesn't hit all the must haves or any of the nice to haves. I'll still set up conversations to
Mm-hmm.
kind of qualify, because then you got to think only people like me or you who play this field and recruiting know what to list on our resumes, what people are looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Engineers, payroll folks, whatever, they might not list that skill because they might not think it's important to list, because they might think,
Right.
oh, everyone at my level of my career has this. Why would I write this down on a piece of paper? That's
Right.
stupid, right?
It's common knowledge or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So if the puzzle almost fits, you give them a call, right? That's what I do, at least. That's what I tell my team to do.
Mm-hmm.
And when I have junior recruiters starting, they spin their wheels. My hiring manager needs these 10 things. I can't find anyone with these 10 things. I'm like, well, it's probably because they don't exist. Tell your hiring manager that. Push back.
Right.
Tell
Right.
them, hey, these 10 things, it's either they don't exist or you're going to triple your salary to find that one person who fits it.
Right.
Just be soft with it. And if your hiring manager pushes back, I had a hiring manager I used to, I don't want to say I didn't enjoy working with them, but they were always so hard on requirements.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a really strong personality, right? I'm pretty chill. I'm your typical bro, It's like, yeah, everything's
Mm-hmm.
cool, we're all fine.
Yeah.
They'd
Yeah.
push back. They'd push back really hard on me when I'd present candidates,
Mm-hmm.
to the point where it's like they didn't think I knew what I was doing,
Yeah.
and
I've been there.
it took a lot of conversations of like, hey, I know what I'm doing, right? I know this career field gets a bad rep sometimes, but just trust me, have a conversation with these people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's all it took, right?
Yeah.
The gates opened. Went from not, I was the third recruiter she went through,
Mm.
right? Because there was that little trust in TA, and it took some, I had to get like firm in my stance of like, hey, I
Yeah.
know what I'm doing. Let's have a conversation. At least talk to him. If I'm wrong, I will never present a case like this again in my life. But if I'm right, you gotta open up a little bit.
Yeah.
And I
Let's.
think she had 0 hires in like 6 months. Then we staffed her team in 2 months. Had like 5 or 6
Yeah.
hires in 2 months, fully staffed.
Yeah. What
She
what
was on.
what what department was this?
It was for esthets.
Oh, okay. So here's the thing you
Yeah.
just mentioned that not many folks that I know have been successful at. Essentially, hey, I'm going to risk my reputation for this candidate. You need to speak to them. And I don't think this specific story is being shared enough on social around how, some recruiters like yourself and myself will go out on a limb and say, look, I know what I'm
Yeah,
doing. This candidate is spectacular. Just have a chat. And then that chat becomes, wow, this person's fantastic. They'd be great on my team. Let's move forward in the process, right? So I think a lot of the obstacles is really just aligning on the expectations, right?
yeah,
And then gelling with the partner you're working with, whether it's a hiring manager or an interviewing panel. And then from there, it's almost like clockwork. The trust is there, and then things begin to speed up. So oftentimes, as candidates are applying, it could just be a multitude of different things that are slowing the hiring process down, or the resume
absolutely.
review, so on and so forth. Um, so to that note, another question around just the application pool. When you're getting a bunch of resumes and candidates inbound, how do you filter through all that? Do you use Boolean search strings? Do you, again, close your eyes and
Yeah.
spin the wheel? What does that look like for you and your team at the first, let's say first week of an application pool?
Yeah, so that's a good problem to have when you're getting applicants. That
Hmm.
wasn't a problem me or my team would ever have anywhere up until last year.
Hmm.
Up until last year, everything was 100% sourced, right? We would source and source and source and try to find the right, because the market was great, right?
Yeah,
People
yeah.
were turning down offers, so we had engineers turning down, 250K for like a 350K offer at some nameless startup, and I'm like,
Yeah, a lot of money.
so yeah, so that wasn't a problem we had in the past. Up until last year, we would post something on a Friday, have 100 applicants, by Monday over the weekend.
Yeah,
We would usually cap it. We get the 150, 200, we would just turn off the posting.
yeah, smart.
And then, yeah, just because that's a bad candidate experience.
Hmm.
Again, it goes back. We get a lot of bad rap. Recruiters do, because we're the face, right? They don't see what's going
Hmm.
on in the background. They don't see, the hiring manager in the C-suite saying, "Hey, let's hold off on this position for a couple weeks, or let's pause. Hey, don't decline, don't reject them because there's a budget issue. Hey, don't reject them
Yeah.
because of this." So we can circle back to that, but that's a whole different conversation in its own, how to handle
Yeah.
those kind of conversations with your candidates. But
Right.
when it comes to selecting, we'll get 150, 200 over a weekend, and we'll turn the posting off. And
Hmm.
I have my team go through it's a time suck, but I think
Hmm.
if they care enough about our company to apply,
Hmm.
take 5 minutes out of their day to apply, right? And they really want to work here. I don't know their story. I don't know if they're just mass applying. And I'm not going to
Hmm.
have that bias going into it. I'm going to take it as if everyone wants to work here, right? Everyone
Right.
genuinely wants to be part of this team. I have my team go through every single resume by hand.
Nice, man.
It's a
Yeah.
time suck. It's not fun, and your eyes burn after about 20 minutes. So we just do that work rest cycle, right? 20 minutes on, 10 minutes off, 20 minutes on,
Yeah.
10 minutes off, until you get through all 100, 150 resumes. And then you separate them, right? You
Hmm.
have some that you can reject pretty easily that don't meet any qualifications. Like, say, if I'm looking for back to ed, if I'm looking for an SDET, but I get, line cook at Wendy's applying, we're going to reject
Yeah.
that guy. If it
Hmm.
requires 5, 10 years experience, I don't think it's going to be a fit.
Hmm.
But, you go down your lines, you go down your resumes, you find that, 10, 15 people out of those 100, chances are,
Yeah.
the data I've seen, the data I've had for my team, I think 8 interviews lead to one hire. So usually for us, it's 8 interviews turn to 5 hiring manager interviews, 5 hiring manager interviews turn to 3 panels, 3 panels turn to one hire. And
Nice.
I tried,
And you
and we
set that
try
up
to,
obviously ahead
yeah,
of time.
yeah. So it's 8, 5,
Gosh,
3,
what's going
1
on?
is the ratio we use.
Sorry, man, it froze again. Let me just close some more of these
Oh, man.
apps. I keep interrupting your stage here, dude.
No, you're good. You're not sponsored by Powerade, are you? I'm drinking Gatorade right now.
No, man.
It's a
I've got
prime
a
opportunity,
Celsius too,
Gatorade.
right?
If you're listening, Gatorade,
Watch
it's
it.
prime opportunity.
Um, so no bots,
Yep, no
no auto
bots.
rejections. It's
Mm-hmm.
essentially recruiters with burning eyes, probably hating life for that period
Mm-hmm.
of time, and then, but at the end of it, learning a ton on what resumes feel like, look like, read like, how
Yeah.
people, maybe translate their experience into very good storytelling or not. You mentioned the line cook at Wendy's. You get that experience. I've had in retail product folks actually apply to product manager roles. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. I can make the connection now, and you kind of
Hmm.
empathize with the person applying because they want to get into X company
Yeah.
and see product in it. So it's not necessarily any one person's fault how this thing is all convoluted, but I
Yeah.
appreciate you answering that. I was thinking, since you're such a tech guy, doing like a Command F search for keywords or maybe a quick Boolean
Yeah.
search string in the
So
database oftentimes.
I think that goes back to people not knowing how to write resumes sometimes,
Hmm.
right? People might omit things, right? And us being in the gig long enough, we know if you work at a certain company, work on a certain piece of the software, you're going to have
Yeah.
certain skills, right?
Hmm.
I'm looking for a hardware person. I know for a fact they're going to have this hardware skill, this, was
Right.
it C
Plus
sharp
plus
or
C
whatever.
sharp. Yeah.
Yeah. I know they're going to be using that even if they don't list it.
Yeah.
So if I do a
100%.
control search, I look for a C++ or a C sharp, and it's not listed on the resume, I'll never know. But if I
Exactly.
but if I go to the resume and it's someone 1 year out of college and I need someone with 1 to 2 years for a really hard to fill, position for
Yeah.
hardware, I'll know that hey, they worked on the hardware of this piece of equipment at this company. I know for a fact what
Hmm.
language they, even if it's not listed, right? Not saying they all do that. Most of them have enough sense to let me list that, but
Right. Right.
you'd be surprised. People
Oh
assume that
yeah.
we know,
And that we are
and
the know-alls. Yeah. I mean, I think to your earlier point about shutting down that position or taking it down, taking it offline, that's super helpful as well because then you don't have this revolving door of folks you have to reply to or respond to
yeah,
or review their resume, right? Because at the end of the day, if you don't review the resume, you're going to feel bad about not reviewing the resume, whether it's 100 or 1,000. So shutting that door and hoping you get the one or two applicants you need in that pool of 200,
yeah,
that's just a process that should probably be standard, if it's not already standard nowadays, which I think helps both parties, right? Or all parties, hiring
yeah.
teams, panels,
And,
managers, and candidates.
and I think what it comes down to is the experience for the employee, right?
Yeah.
If there were companies doing layoffs right now, and their recruiting team of 20 is now a recruiting team of two, and they
Hmm.
have 1,000 applicants, those 1,000 applicants are going to sit without being seen for
Yeah.
months. And that's why people are getting rejection emails like 6 months after they apply to a job.
Oh, yeah. It's happened to me many
So
times.
I just got three
Yeah.
today, I think
Nice.
from months ago, like two or 3 months ago.
Yeah. Happy New
Um,
Year.
yeah, appreciate it. Thanks, guys. But no, just turning it off at a manageable number, like 100, 150. You
Hmm.
pause it. If no one's at 150, turn it back on.
Turn it back on.
It's not
Exactly.
gonna hurt
Yeah.
anything.
You got to
Turn it
throttle
off.
it.
Manage the experience because that's important too. Because you see, you find that perfect candidate, but they've been in process for 6 weeks and they've gone through two periods of waiting.
Yeah.
They're not going to
They're
want
on
to work here when the offer
they're on
comes.
vacation in Tahiti at the moment because it took too long, and
They've
I've
got
actually had folks apply. I hit them back, and they're like, "Oh, I'm out here in Costa Rica for a couple of weeks." I'm like, "Damn it, I should have replied earlier." So it happens on
yeah,
both sides.
same here, and it's no one's fault. Sometimes we're overworked, right? When the market picks
Hmm.
back up and we have 50 open recs and there's only again those two recruiters sitting there, it's the same problem.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's the competition again, right? So that's when these
Hmm.
engineers or whoever we hire come to, hey, here's our offer. It's a great offer. It was a great offer 5 months ago.
Yeah.
But now I've got four of those, so I
Right.
get to pick. Then they get to close their eyes and point to
And
one.
just hit random.
Yeah.
Well, awesome, man. Any last words of advice for job seekers? Do you
Yeah.
see the market coming back? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think advice is to take care of your mental health, right? Especially the veteran population you're probably mentoring right now. It's veterans, they hard charge everything head on except their
Hmm.
mental health.
Yeah,
As you can
man.
see the shirt here, it's dude, it gets you and it gets you fast. Take
Yeah.
care of your mental health as you would take care of anything else in your life.
And
Don't
every
let Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say everything else falls into place once that's kind of taken care of.
Yeah, just be kind to yourself, right? My
Yeah,
I'm
man.
on my work. I beat the crap out of myself every day. I wake up hating myself. I got a great wife. She's so good to me, and she's be kind to yourself kind of person. So if I
Right.
have any advice, dude, just be good to yourself. Be patient with yourself. This market's going to rebound. It's going to rebound hard.
Hmm.
I have a lot of faith in this market. I've got friends in the market right now that 2 weeks ago they were beating their heads against a wall, and today I just got 5 interviews, right?
Yeah.
So the supply is soon going to meet the demand, right? And demand is going to outpace the supply, in my opinion. And then
Yeah.
we're
Totally.
going to be back in the driver's seat soon.
Gonna be hell on wheels.
Yeah,
Just
it
using the
is
right
going to be busy
metaphor.
for
Yeah.
everybody. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Cool,
awesome.
Nick. For anyone that wants to follow Nick, it's basically his name on LinkedIn, as with everyone, obviously. I don't even know why I had to share that, but great guy.
Yeah,
Awesome dude
Nicholas.
overall. Who cares? And fun fact, he and I connected on LinkedIn over Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So any BOT dub fans out there, hit us up. We don't have a Discord, but we do partake in the Master Sword. Oh, it freaking rhymed. I'm leaving that.
What's that?
Cool, man. I said we don't have a Discord, but we do partake in the Master Sword. So yeah, we're geeking out here.
Ooh, trademark
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
trademark that. That'll be my new headline. I partner
Well,
with job seekers on Discord for the Master Sword. Yeah, something like that. Figure
real
it out.
quick, do you remember how we actually met?
I was posting content, and then you messaged me. That was your strategy. You said, "Hey, man, I love what you're posting," and something about the army, and then Legend of Zelda. What was it? Sean Washington. Is that how it?
Sean Washington reached out to me and was like, "You got to check this guy out." And I was like, "I'll check him out." I checked you out, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, okay, this guy's pretty
He
cool."
qualifies. He
Yeah, he
qualifies.
qualifies. I have my checklist out. You hit 5 of the 10. I rolled the dice on the other
Yeah.
5 that we talked about. No, I'm kidding.
5 must have, 5 nice to have. Didn't have any of that. Yeah, Sean, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love that guy, dude. I actually
you
talked to him
gotta.
last year via the phone. But yeah, we should definitely, you know what? Let's meet in the middle. Let's go to, where's he at? He's in,
He's in
don't tell me.
Tulsa,
He's in
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. Yeah, Tulsa, Oklahoma. So you got to fly to Tulsa. I'll meet you there, and then we can do 3 meetings with one, and then we'll shoot the shit with Sean.
Yeah, you gotta get Sean on here. Sean would be a good one. He's got,
Oh
man,
yeah,
he's got a. So I always say Sean somehow knows everyone, and Sean's like the
yes,
ultimate connector of people.
no,
If
for
you want to
sure.
know anyone in the world, I think Sean has their email address.
Yeah, Sean would be
I don't even know
first.
how he does it, but he's just like the mediary between everybody in the whole
Dude,
universe.
yeah, people just love him, man. He'd be first. We'd be a close second combined. That's how good Sean is. Like you have to combine Nick and Henry to be as good as Sean, and that's actually pushing it. So
Dude's got some arms this big too.
yeah, he's huge.
Yeah. We have to be combine our arms to get one of his
Yeah.
arms too, dude.
Sean, if you're listening, man, we miss you, brother. We'll be in
Please
touch,
come
and
back.
yeah, get back on LinkedIn and start posting gifts and the memes, man. We miss you.
Oh, dude, the meme work was
Yeah,
incredible. Yeah.
stroke of
Awesome.
genius. All right,
But
man.
cool.
Well, good catching up. Congrats again. Thanks for your time,
Thank you,
dude. This is
man.
an hour well spent, and I'm sure folks are gonna love this information. And you'll probably have 30,000 new connections with this as the emoji, and maybe
And
10,000
Gatorade endorsement,
New
Celsius
Celsius,
endorsement.
yeah.
Dude, if you're
Well, yeah,
watching, you're missing an opportunity, Gatorade and Celsius.
yeah. We'll pitch them very soon. You write up the documentation, and you be the spokesperson. You just do it all. I'll just ride your coattails.
Perfect.
You
You
get
just collect the
that.
checks. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.